October 1987. The small town of Hollow Ridge, West Virginia, had always lived in the shadow of the old Blackstone Coal Mine. The mine had been abandoned for nearly 20 years after a terrible accident trapped 13 miners deep underground. Official reports claimed that a tunnel collapse killed everyone instantly. The entrance was sealed. The case was closed. And the town tried to forget. But some places never let their dead rest. On a cold autumn evening, journalist Ethan Carter arrived in Hollow Ridge hoping to investigate rumors surrounding the forgotten disaster. The locals were reluctant to talk. Whenever Ethan mentioned the mine, faces turned pale. Conversations ended. Doors closed. At the town diner, an elderly woman quietly slid into his booth. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Leave before sunset tomorrow." Ethan frowned. Why? The woman stared toward the fog-covered hills. Because every year, on October 17th, they come back. Before Ethan could ask another question, she stood up and left. That night, Ethan checked into a small motel. At exactly 3:17 a.m., he woke suddenly. A distant metallic sound echoed through the darkness. Clang. 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 Like a miner striking rock deep underground. He sat upright. The sound continued. Slow. Rhythmic. Impossible. The abandoned mine was nearly 10 miles away. Then his radio crackled to life by itself. Static filled the room. A broken voice emerged. Weak. Distorted. Terrified. Help us. The signal vanished. Silence returned. But Ethan knew one thing. Someone, or something, was trying to reach him from beneath Hollow Ridge. And the nightmare had only just begun. The following morning, Ethan visited the abandoned town archives. The building was nearly empty except for a retired clerk named Walter Briggs. When Ethan mentioned Blackstone Mine, Walter's face immediately changed. For several seconds he simply stared. Then he quietly locked the archive doors. What I'm about to show you never leaves this room. From a dusty cabinet, Walter removed a box of forgotten records. Official documents claimed 13 miners died in the collapse. But another report told a different story. The rescue team had detected sounds underground for nearly 6 days after the accident. Knocking. Voices. Metal scraping against rock. The trapped miners were alive. Then suddenly all sounds stopped. The rescue operation was cancelled. The mine was sealed. What happened? Ethan asked. Walter swallowed hard. The rescue crews refused to go back underground. Why? Walter opened a faded notebook. Inside were handwritten testimonies. One rescuer claimed the voices coming from below didn't sound human anymore. Another reported hearing dozens of people speaking simultaneously through a single tunnel. One worker quit after seeing a figure standing in total darkness nearly half a mile underground. A figure wearing a miner's helmet. A miner who had already been confirmed dead. As Ethan read the final testimony, chills crawled down his spine. The last entry stated, "Whatever remained in that mine wanted us to come closer." The sentence ended abruptly. The author never wrote another word. That evening Ethan drove toward the abandoned mine. The deeper he entered the hills, the heavier the fog became. Somewhere ahead, hidden among the trees, Blackstone Mine waited. And something inside was still awake. By sunset Ethan reached Blackstone Mine. The rusted gate still stood where officials had sealed it decades earlier. Warning signs covered the fence. Most had faded beyond recognition. The forest around the entrance was unnaturally silent. No birds. No insects. Nothing. Ethan switched on his flashlight and approached. The entrance tunnel disappeared into darkness. Suddenly he noticed something strange. Fresh footprints. Dozens of them. Leading inside. Yet none came back out. His radio crackled. Static erupted. Then a voice whispered. "Turn back." The signal vanished. Ethan stepped closer. A cold wind emerged from deep inside the mine. The air smelled of wet stone and old machinery. Then he saw movement. Far beyond the entrance. A figure. Standing motionless. Wearing a miner's helmet. The light attached to the helmet glowed faintly. Ethan raised his flashlight. The figure vanished. His pulse raced. For several moments he stood frozen. Then another sound echoed from below. 3 metallic knocks. Clang. 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 Exactly the same sound he had heard at 3:17 a.m. Against every instinct telling him to leave, Ethan crossed the fence. The darkness swallowed him. Behind him, the last rays of sunlight disappeared. Ahead, the mine stretched endlessly underground. And somewhere in that darkness, someone was waiting. The deeper Ethan traveled, the stranger the mine became. Old tracks stretched through endless corridors. Broken carts remained where miners had abandoned them decades ago. Yet everything looked strangely preserved. Almost untouched by time. Several hundred feet underground, Ethan discovered a tunnel that wasn't shown on any map. Fresh footprints led inside. The walls were covered with scratch marks. Some looked human. Others did not. Then he found writing carved into the stone. "Help US. Don't listen. It wears their faces." A sudden sound echoed behind him. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Ethan spun around. Nobody was there. But his flashlight revealed something worse. Fresh muddy footprints had appeared behind him. Footprints that hadn't been there seconds earlier. And they were moving closer. Near midnight Ethan discovered a hidden chamber. Inside sat an old man. Thin. Pale. Terrified. The man claimed his name was Samuel Rhodes. According to official records, Samuel had died in the collapse 40 years earlier. Yet here he was. Alive. Or at least appearing alive. Samuel's voice shook. "It found us after the collapse." Ethan stared. "What found you?" The old man's eyes filled with fear. "It lives deeper down." Samuel explained that something had emerged from a newly exposed tunnel after the accident. Something ancient. Something that learned by imitation. It copied voices. Faces. Memories. One by one, the trapped miners disappeared. Then they began returning. Looking identical. Acting identical. But something inside them was wrong. By the end, nobody knew who was human anymore. Samuel pointed toward the darkness. "It still wants more people." Then the chamber lights suddenly went out. And Samuel vanished. Only his footprints remained. Leading deeper underground. As Ethan continued, voices began emerging from every tunnel. His mother's voice. His father's voice. Friends he hadn't seen in years. All calling his name. Each voice sounded perfect. Yet something felt wrong. The words repeated. Again. And again. As though spoken by something learning how humans communicate. Then the voices merged together. Hundreds speaking at once. The walls vibrated. The mine itself seemed alive. And beneath the noise, Ethan heard another sound. Breathing. Massive. Slow. Coming from somewhere below. At 3 a.m. Ethan reached the deepest section of the mine. There he discovered an enormous cavern. Far larger than any mining map suggested. In the center stood a black stone formation. Its surface moved slightly, like breathing flesh. Dozens of miner helmets surrounded it. Thousands of names had been scratched into the stone. Many belonged to missing people. Some names were recent. Very recent. Then the surface began changing. Faces emerged. Human faces. Hundreds of them. All silently staring at Ethan. Waiting. Watching. Remembering. At exactly 3:17 a.m. the cavern shook violently. The faces opened their eyes. The entire mine echoed with screams. Not screams of pain. Screams of recognition. The thing beneath Hollow Ridge finally noticed Ethan. A single eye opened within the black stone. Massive. Ancient. Intelligent. It stared directly at him. Images flooded Ethan's mind. Decades of disappearances. Countless victims. The creature had been trapped underground for centuries. It couldn't leave. But it could call. And people always answered. Ethan ran. The tunnels collapsed behind him. Voices screamed from every direction. Footsteps followed. Hundreds of them. Shapes emerged from the darkness. People. Miners. Travelers. Missing hikers. All moving together. All wearing the same empty expression. The closer they came, the more identical they looked. As if they were becoming one thing. One mind. One creature. The mine roared. Dust filled the air. Finally Ethan saw moonlight ahead. The exit. With every ounce of strength remaining, he sprinted toward it. The moment he crossed the entrance, a thunderous collapse sealed the tunnel forever. Silence returned. The mountain stood still. As though nothing had happened. 3 months later Ethan published his investigation. Nobody believed him. Experts dismissed the story. Authorities sealed all access roads to the mine. Life moved on. Or so it seemed. Then one night Ethan reviewed the final audio recording from inside Blackstone Mine. Most of it contained static. But near the end, a voice appeared. His own voice. Speaking words he never remembered saying. The recording whispered. "We found a way out." Ethan froze. The timestamp showed 3:17 a.m. Then another voice emerged. Hundreds speaking together. Calm. Patient. Waiting. "We are coming home." The recording ended. Outside Ethan's apartment, somewhere beyond the walls, 3 metallic knocks echoed through the darkness. Clang. 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 And for the first time since escaping the mine, Ethan realized the nightmare had followed him home.